everybody. Nice to see you all again. So I've had a wild couple of weeks, but I am back and I wanted to make a video to follow up on and demonstrate that monster making tutorial from earlier. Since it's my most popular video and it seems that folks are interested in it. So if you haven't seen that, it's linked below or in the upper right corner if I can get that feature working. But for this creature, let's start on out. For this creature, I noticed that there weren't really any cards that give me a body, more just some extra features and equipment. So I wanted to try out a scene to start out with instead of the creature itself fulfilling out the cards. Now, you'll see that right now I'm just using my underdrawing pen. This is with, I believe, Diamine's light gray ink, but it's not necessarily meant to be super showy. Once I swap over to my other pen, that's when you'll see that it pops up. Yeah, right here. But even then, you'll notice that the pen lines are very light and not flowing super well. Admittedly, this is because I haven't been using or even taking care of my pens recently. I've been drawing digitally way too much, but that's fine. I had fun with this situation. So you're going to start to notice that the scene is pretty good, but the details are kind of falling apart. But I really like this kind of crossbow design that started emerging. And overall, I think this is a good starting point for the character, but we're actually going to restart the drawing and do it with just the character instead of the scene. Because now we've got a good handle on the starting point, we can start making this feel like a more complete version. Again, we're going back to, well, we'll go back in a second to that lighter line just to fill out the body. But I think the face being some kind of like bird masky thing is pretty fun. So we have this kind of good starting point, someone with a dinosaur tail with a Thagamizer, using a bone and meat crossbow and wearing a cloak. It seems like a pretty cool rangery type of character. But as I mentioned earlier, the details aren't really going to come through on this version of the drawing. So I'm going to fall back on that, that thing that got me in this situation with my pens to start out with. I'm going to scan this in and make it digital to try and refine the art, make it more, much closer to something that you would want to present to your players, which, by the way, at any level of art skill, your players will enjoy it. They will understand if they are people that you want at your table, they will understand the effort that you've put into these characters and will enjoy the fact that you're giving them a physical, visual representation of what they are facing or what they are playing. So now that we have this digital, while the visuals are getting reworked, let's talk about what this creature can do. Like with the previous monsters, let's use the notable features from the art. We'll just do, to make some abilities. We'll just do a name for now, but if you at home want to use this character, feel free first off, and you can make the abilities fit your table and your game as is. So the first big thing, this crossbow. It's so cool. It is something like made out of bone, meat, muscle, that kind of stuff. So we'll just call it the bone and sinew crossbow for now. Next up is the Thagamizer. And if you all don't know what the Thagamizer origins are, look up the Far Side Thagamizer. It is hilarious. A Sunday comic strip dude made up a term that is literally being used in science right now. It is hilarious. I love the story of it. Anyway, this is more of a simpler kind of idea, so we'll just call it the tail swipe or something like that. Finally, the cloak jumped out to me as a fun thing to experiment with using another brush on, literally the brush pen tool instead of the pencil pen tool. Digital art is weird. Anyway, we'll call it something magical, like the Cloak of Fog, could be fun and fitting, as the cloak ends up being a little strange and a bit misty toward the end. Next up, let's work on the stats. I'll be using the character creation stats from Errant Challengers, as it's very thorough on what a character can do with these stats. So the playtest of which, by the way, is available for free off of itch.io. Linked in the description below, and if you do end up playing Errant Challengers, please let us know what you think about it. We are always looking for feedback. This is actually a system being made by one of my friends, folks. And if you want to see a live play of it, my Errant Challengers Abandoned Island videos are run in Errant Challengers. Yeah, you couldn't tell. Anyway, the stats are strength, agility, focus, wisdom, charisma, stamina, mana, and luck. Pretty extensive, but of course I'm going to bring you through it with the tomato explanation. So starting out, strength is your ability to throw a tomato hard. Agility is your ability to dodge a thrown tomato. Focus is your ability to see a thrown tomato before it hits you. Intelligence is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put a tomato in a fruit salad. Charisma is your ability to sell a tomato-based fruit salad. Mana determines how many tomatoes you can pull out of thin air a day. Stamina is how many tomatoes you can throw without getting too tired. And luck is the chance of a tomato falling out of the sky into your hand. So with those summaries, of course, we can go further into them. If you want, I can make a full video on how Errant Challengers works and the very basics of character creation. But for now, let's move on to assigning those stats. We're just going to use stat modifiers instead of the full numbers to keep things simple for folks. So starting out with strength, this person is wearing some pretty heavy chainmail, so we'll put the strength at a +2. Agility can also be at a +2 for a good bonus to stealth. But focus is definitely his highest stat at a +4. Sharp eyes and a strong crossbow keep this one alive. Intelligence, let's put that at -1. There probably aren't many books out in the corrupted forests where he got that crossbow. Wisdom will be at a +1. He can have a knack for planning ahead, but not too far. Charisma can be dumbed down to, let's say, a 2. He seems perpetually grumpy and probably smells, as all rangers do. I don't have a bias. I quote unquote promise. Anyway, stamina is pretty high. Let's say +3. You cannot stop to rest in these corrupted forests. Mana can get some love at a +2. Magically enhancing your abilities and defenses can make a day in the corrupted forests much, much easier than they would otherwise be. Finally, luck. Let's leave it as a neutral 0. He's had some things go well for him, but he's still stuck hunting in the corrupted forests. Now, there's one thing I'm experimenting with for my characters that I'll also test here. Core phrases. They're words or short phrases that help determine a character's approach to a situation. Each phrase is assigned to a die, and you roll the phrase dice together to get a prompt on how to react to a situation. For now, I'll be using 3 phrases here since this is a smaller scale exercise. This was inspired by Sentiment TTRPG. The rules are for free on its Patreon, which is also linked below. So, going to these core phrases. With all the information we already have from the earlier steps, I think we can come up with some pretty easily. The first one, I will make it through. I promise. This guy definitely has a dark backstory based on that look and has made it through some serious hardships. A dear promise to a dying loved one can wrap that sentiment up in a neat little bow. It also gives multiple directions for roleplay in the moment. Maybe it can be interpreted as leaning towards survival or seeing a difficult task to the end, or even just human connection and keeping one's word. The second phrase, fruit grows even from these malignant trees. Really, this phrase is here to explain the crossbow. I'm thinking that it could be made up from wood of a corrupted tree, or maybe some kind of beast within the corrupted forest. That's why it looks so strange and weird, kind of meat punky, I suppose. Anyway, the main thrust of this phrase is getting benefit from the bad situations or people that this character is faced with. Though there could be other interpretations as well. Feel free to comment those back and down below. Third phrase. I will fight the demon that I know, not the demon that I don't. Maybe the forest was corrupted by some sort of demonic incursion, and this character's learned a lot about those demons over his lifetime. In roleplay, it can be interpreted to encourage wariness to outsiders or unknown people. It can also be an impulse to learn more about a situation before acting too far. This can also kind of encourage the character to be sort of a scout type if you're playing it in a party situation. And that's that for the character. All that's left is to come up with a name. Let me see if there's an online generator for this. One moment. So for now, I'll just use the fantasynamegenerators.com and use some of their Aarakocra names. Let's see. Ru, Uad, Ilk, Klee, C, Okog. Okog, O-K-K-A-A-G. That seems pretty good. I don't know if this one will have a last name. I don't think Okog has a last name because they may have had one at one point, but now living in the corrupted forests, they don't really have a use for a second name beyond their first. It's all that they need. So that's that. I could, of course, put more details, write specific mechanics for the abilities, but that's something more for each GM to figure out what they want at their table. Or for y'all in the comments to give suggestions on. And since you made it to the end of the video, it seems like you enjoy my stuff, so I'd really appreciate it if you left a like and even subscribed if you're interested in more of this. I'm still in the experimental stage of my channel, so you can have a big effect on what I make in the future just by telling me what videos of mine you like to watch the most. So with that, let's bring this video to a close. For those of you with dark skies, good night. And if you have bright days, good morning. Whatever part of the world you're from, I hope you have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, and night. Goodbye.